On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, the roller coaster season continues, both on the ice and off it, where we did have a trade with the Colorado Avalanche. Did it really move the needle that much? Let's talk about it all. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, Locked On Avalanche at gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and make sure you subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. Quick announcement first, let's start off with this. Next week, Kyle's going to be driving this ship for most of the days solo. The family and I are going to the happiest place on earth, down in Disney. So they always want to do a Christmas vacation down in Disney. So we're going to be doing that next week. So yeah, you'll get the shaggy smile for most of the week. So
yeah, everybody just be kind to me. Be kind. Just stick around. Chris will be back. Don't worry. don't hate on me too much.
You'll be fine. I'll be posting some kind of fun stuff and keeping up with stuff on social media. But as far as the episodes go, yeah, it'll be Mr. Shaggy Locked On Shaggy Von Doom for most of the week next week.
What could go wrong?
All right. Well, it can't go any worse than this Avalanche season so far. I guess it really could. The Avalanche season could be going a lot worse than it is. Let's get real. But they did make a trade over the weekend, and I don't know what to make of it, because everybody's, I'm sure, heard it by now. But just to recap it, Justus Annunen is no longer with the Colorado Avalanche. He goes to Nashville in exchange for Scott Wedgwood. The Avs also send a 6th round pick over there too, to kind of balance out the scale, just because the salaries were not so different, but enough where I think like Nashville was like, we'll send us a 6th round pick in addition. And the Avalanche aren't going to hold up a deal for a 6th round pick, but they do have a 7th rounder playing for them right now. So maybe these picks are a little bit more important than we think they are. Either way, that's what goes to Nashville. Avalanche bring in a career backup. Probably not what a lot of Avalanche fans wanted to have a trade be. I think when anybody wants to a trade happen for their team, they want it to be something that improves their team. Does this improve the Avalanche? What do you think? I'll kick it over to you first. We can start there.
All right, this move, let's not dance around it. This is not affecting a single thing. This is not going to change. It's not going to ruin. It's not dooming or improving. This was a very vanilla swap. And if you listen to Bednar's comments, basically what they went out and got was somebody that was at least a veteran and consistent. Because in Bednar's closing remarks about Juice, it was they kept seeing the inconsistencies, right? And that was what was standing out. And Juice is 6-4 on the year. And Wedgwood is 1-2-1. So it's the same save percentage and goals allowed. So you're not improving or falling back. It's just, what you're getting in Wedgwood, and you had no idea, which is whatever we were talking about the goalies, you have no idea what you're getting. They have a little bit of a better sample size when it comes to Wedgwood, who is much older.
And your last comment there is why I think it does incrementally so infinitesimally improve them. Yeah, I think that's the first time I've ever used that word on this show. Yeah, it's a 50 center right there. Just that much makes them a little bit better.
Yeah.
Which is almost not. If we're on the deserve to win meter, you're going up by like a percent. Because like you said, like it it brings in a backup that you have more faith in.
Yeah.
And clearly they did not have faith in Justus Annunen. And I think they got to the point where like that, the ship, it's weird to say the ship has sailed with him because, I mean, he is 25 years old, but he's been with this club for a very long time, not at the NHL level for a very long time. And that was the weird part to me because at the pro level, he wasn't there for very long. So they were not willing to wait anymore. I think they felt like what they saw in the sample size that he gave them, they didn't like. They didn't like it. And the past couple games, some of the goals he was letting in were really, really soft goals. And for the Avalanche to just turn and say, like, we don't think that's fixable, or we don't have time to fix that right now. And they were willing to part with him to bring in an older, more dependable backup. That's all this is who do you have more faith in as your backup? And yes, the answer to that is Scott Wedgwood. It's not like he is, how long have us, the fan base, been talking about could Justus push Georgiev to take over his role, to take over that number one spot? You're not talking about that anymore.
No.
The odd thing, because Wedgwood is the better goalie between those two, but Wedgwood's been around long enough where he's never taken a leadership role, a number one goalie role. So you're not going to be asking that of him, where you were asking that of Georgiev to maybe push. And when we were talking with Dater, and Dater was like, they might give it to him next year. And now that's obviously not going to be the case. So I think the Avalanche saw enough of him. It's not like he was, just brand new. He's only been with the club for a year or two, and like, yeah, let's see if we can turn him around. They're doing that more with guys, Kyle. Like Alex Newhook was out the door.
Yep.
They're not waiting around anymore for guys to take more years than they want them to really figure it out. They're like, no, this window that everybody talks about, we can't wait around for guys who need a little bit extra time to give them that extra time. It is, we'll give you the allotted time when we draft you. And if you're not where we need you to be by said date, you're out of here. And I think they just felt that way about Annunen.
Yeah. And you absolutely picked on the point that I was about to make to the juice camp, that everybody's like, I can't believe they gave up on him so soon. That's Justin Barron. That's Alex Newhook. Alex Kerfoot. Like,
yeah, he was. Yeah.
There's a lot of players that the Avs have kind of seen, and they've seen enough of. Like they gave Newhook the 2C to where Bednar was publicly saying this is his job to lose, and now look at where he is. With Juice, and the way they're setting this up, like, step back a minute and let's look at this. What you see, like Juice's last two starts, you were expecting a lot, and he gave you very, very little. Georgie, on the other hand, has come out and he has played semi-average. It doesn't matter what goalie right now, they're not going to be here next year. And you have Nabokov still waiting in the wings. You have no idea what that situation is going to look like, but you're going to have basically a fresh start when the year is over. When it comes to the goalie position, you can go out and find what you need, but it's going to be Georgie as your 1A. Wedgwood is the 1B because he's never been asked to do anything more. Everybody knows, if you listen to the show for a while, I'm a Devils guy. I like the Devils. I still think of Wedgwood and the Devils and that center ice goal that he let in just against the Penguins. It still haunts my dream. So he's not going to go out there and steal the show. He's not going to steal Georgie's job, but he's going to be a reliable backup that you know what you're going to get night in and night out.
And quickly, another guy that I think you're going to see that the Avs kind of are going to be moving on from. I'll be shocked if they don't trade Oscar Olausson at the trade deadline, because they're just skipping over him for all these guys that they're bringing up, and they need to be bringing up a lot of guys because the injury bug, by the way, is back. We'll talk about that in the next segment. But yeah, the Avs are just we're done really kind of taking time. We don't have time to give you guys more time than necessary. We need to win games. And I think that's where they are with this thinking was bring in Wedgwood, and when we need to go to a backup, we more often than not should get a game out of him that we're in the game. And that's what they're asking out of Georgiev too. Just keep us in the game. And he's done that recently. We'll see if that can keep playing out over the course of the season. But Annunen, those last couple of games were just really, really ugly. And it's so weird how quickly, because he was playing pretty good in the early stages of the season when they called on him. But it's amazing how quickly they turn on him for some, the more recent games. And I don't think it's necessarily the score or anything like that. I think it's specific goals that he was letting in. Just nobody in front of him. I brought up the last game that he was pulled, four goals, low danger goals. Jared Bednar is a stat geek, and he is he dives into like analytics and stuff like that. And I'm not saying low danger shots is this deep like rooted stat. Like it's very easy to look those up, and those are ones where they just don't pass the eye test. Like you can break down so many goals and say like, this guy was out of position, that guy was out of position, but when it's a low danger goal, those are glaring. And I think he was looking at those, and McFarland was looking at those, and was like, it's kind of surprising why they were like, that's either not fixable or we don't have time to fix it.
And see, and you mentioned like the last two outings, and like to all the Georgie supporters that do the Nicolas Cage point, to Georgie and the Winnipeg and Dallas series, every time something goes bad, let's not forget Juice had back-to-back shutouts last year as well.
Yeah,
like this.
They were against Chicago though, but hey, it's a pro team, and he didn't have a lot of time at that time. So impressive, yeah.
And this comes down to the moment of you let in those goals, and one goalie could say I could fix it, and one goalie's trying to figure out how. And you don't have time with this season where you're sitting. You're out of a playoff spot, for goodness sake. If the season ended today, you're not in the playoffs. So Edmonton took that in the win on Saturday night. So you have to put together a team that could put something together, and Wedgwood has the better potential to give you a backup and some rest for Georgie, because Justus can't even give Georgie rest because he's getting pulled.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like if them trading Annunen doesn't give you, the idea or the thought of how they feel about Georgiev, because they're giving him the time. They feel like he is their goalie and can pull himself out of how he started the season. And he's kind of proving them right now. Has he been phenomenal? In some aspects, yeah, but he's been, I think, what they want him to be. Mm-hmm. And they're okay giving him that time to fix what was broken early in the season. Annunen was the complete opposite. He was good in the early stages of the season, and when the wheels fell off, they turned on it and were like, we can't do this anymore. Just kind of fascinating. Fascinating how they treat the two different goalies who have had good moments and bad moments in the season, and how they treated them differently. One got traded, and the other is still your guy.
One goalie is moldable, the other they view it as salvageable, and that shows you what they see in the two goalies.
Pretty wild. So we'll see how it goes. Wedgwood, he got there that day and backed up Georgiev. We'll see how long it goes before they give him a shot. But hey, I mean, you're bringing him in to spell Georgiev. You're going to have to use him pretty soon, I would think, to get him in the fold and get him comfortable. So
we got to change that mask out.
Yeah, got to give him time to do that too. Do you see the Justus picture?
Yeah.
Oh God,
and his number.
Yeah, he's 39 now. Yep. And I always find that hilarious, and I get it, but how a goalie gets traded and they have brand new uniform and they have their old helmet, those things are painted, individually made for those guys. But I'm surprised they just don't go to, who was the guy that got traded to St. Louis? Was it no. Was it Ryan Miller? Did he get traded to St. Louis? I could be wrong on who it is, but when he got traded there, he just wore a white helmet. It was it. He didn't bring his old helmet with him. It was just a plain Jane white helmet, and he wore it like for the rest of the year. Didn't even get. I'm like, that's how you do it, man. Love it. All right, let's get our first break in here, and when we come back, we'll kind of touch on this game over the weekend and against Edmonton, and the injuries are back, and they're really back in a pretty big way. So we'll get to all that coming up next. First, we're going to hear from FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get that hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That is FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Also brought to you by Game Time and the Game Time ticketing app. They have that new feature that we keep talking about called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I think we've all been there where you're looking for that perfect seat. Game Time Picks just filters all that out, and it works like a charm. And the seat and section that they give you more often than not is like, that's exactly what I was looking for. How did they do this? It's a minor miracle. So you can use the Game Time Picks on the app. What else do we like? The all-in pricing. You toggle that feature on. It shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. You get the seat views, panoramic views of your seat right in the app before you buy, and the lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today, because what time is it, Mr. Sullivan?
It's game time.
Injuries. Hey, they're back, and kind of better than never for the Avalanche, because when we got that one game where you got three guys back, you got Miles Wood, you got Jonathan Drouin, and you got Valentin finally came back, you were like, okay, now really all that's left is Ross Colton, and then Gabe Landeskog whenever that happens. But for the first time in a long time, you were getting as healthy as a team, as an Avalanche team, as you could really have. And hey, it didn't even take, well, it did right toward the end of the month, where it's like kind of back to normal, in that there are a plethora of Avalanche injuries. And I mean, I'll just go through the Oliver Kylington, who had started to, you felt kind of turning a little bit of a corner there. He's the lightest one. He's day to day, so he could return at any point. But I mean, he was not a guy who was playing game in and game out. He was kind of one of those swapping in and out with Calvin DeHaan. But whatever, his injury is day to day, so that's could be any day. Then you have Jonathan Drouin, who went out, I think, after the Vegas game. I'm not sure of the exact game, but I think it was that game. He is now week to week again. So he's going to be out for, who knows, week to week. You had, we talked about the Josh Manson injury the other day, when he kind of just skated right off and didn't even pick up his glove. You knew that was bad. He is now week to week. So yes, you might need Oliver Kylington back when he's day to day, because Josh Manson is now week to week. Ross Colton, we are about a month into his 6 to 8 weeks of a broken foot. So we have anywhere from 2 weeks to another month before he comes back. Obviously, Gabe Landeskog, that is still up in the air. Who knows with that? And now you have Miles Wood with the ever rare month to month. I mean, Gabe Landeskog has the extremely rare year to year. But the Miles Wood month to month, that just puts it like a pit in your stomach where it's like, okay, now this is going to get interesting. Not that Miles Wood is a guy that, soaks up a lot of time or anything like that. I just like the energy that he gives you on the ice. And to not have that for months, he's not going to turn the tide on a game or anything like that, but he just has that infectious, like, style of play where if things are down, he can go out and give you that shift, that one shift that you need where he'll throw a hit or he'll just the hustle. People pick up on stuff like that. That's what I like about Miles Wood. And you don't have that for month to month.
Month to month.
Yeah.
When I heard that, I'm like, how does that even happen? What do you do? What do you do? Like,
I don't know, man. It's a weird one. Yeah.
I've never heard of a month to month, week to week at best. Month to month, it worked me up because I think this has to go back to that hit that he suffered against Boston, where he was rolling on the ice and he never came back 100% the same. And I feel like it's nagging, and it was one of those things that never improved. And once you finally get it addressed, it's a big deal. This has to be fixed now. Yes, you were right. He never was going to give you the numbers, but he gave you a jolt.
Yeah.
And
right.
for it, like, you could tell me Miles Wood's out month to month. Gabe Landeskog has been day to day for almost 3 years. And like, it's laughable at this point. What else can you say about the injuries? Let's not start investigating the strength and conditioning coach. It's not any of that. It's just hockey. It's bad luck. It's the Colorado Avalanche to a T, but good grief, it's got to stop sometime.
Month to month is concerning to me because it's like, I mean, yeah, first of all, like, you're right. Like, how do you address that? You're like, okay, a month has gone by. You're not ready. Take another month. It's just a weird phrasing to me, but whatever that injury is, if you're labeled as month to month, when you come back, I'm not like totally sold that you're 100% healthy. Like that's got to be an injury where that whatever it is probably going to be nagging you. Like when you come back, you really think you're going to be 100%. And if you need months off, you're pretty fragile when you come back because you're not in hockey shape after that. Like, yeah, you can get that stuff back relatively quickly, but what if you push a little bit too hard and whatever was nagging you, like you re-injure that thing? Like exactly how we're thinking about Gabe Landeskog, and he's been out 2 years. If you're designated month to month, I'm kind of putting Miles Wood in that same ballpark with Gabe Landeskog for if they were eventually to return. I'm going to be watching him be like, dude, like I'm really concerned for you because are you going to re-injure that thing, whatever it was? It goes beyond the month to month thing to me. It goes beyond like, okay, like this is going to be when you return, it's going to be game to game. Are you okay? I don't know. It's a curious one for me. And then on the defensive side with Manson being week to week, he's caught a little bit of injury bug since he's been on the Avalanche. You know, like he gets. I mean, in this you could see what this one was. One's in the past, like he plays a heavy game, you know, so he's gonna get banged up. And I think it wasn't last year where he was out for a long period of time and struggled to come back. I don't know if that's going to be the case this time around, but while he's gone, you know, this is an opportunity. This right here, man, is an opportunity for someone like Sam Malinsky to step up and say like, hey, you can increase my workload a little bit more here. And if that works out, then I think you see the Avalanche maybe make a move here. I don't want to say what it is, but they could make a move where they're a little bit comfortable moving guys around because Sam Malinsky's taken the next step up. So guys like him, I'm looking at all right, let's see what you can do while someone like Manson is out. They don't play the same game. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like just more of a workload on Sam Malinsky's shoulders. And if he can prove he can handle that, the Avs might go out and maybe make a move to bring somebody in because you have so many injuries right now. Are moves on the horizon for the Avalanche? They might have to be. They might have to be kind of really quick here in making some moves if they want to. But I don't know what they do. They have so many guys on injured. You can't load up on the cap, because these guys are going to come. The numbers aren't off the cap anyway, because no one's on LTIR, which also begs the question: why isn't Miles Wood on LTIR if he's month to month?
That's a great question. And something else that also I've been pondering: has there been a landslide, a boulder that has blocked the interstate between Denver and Loveland? Where are the Eagles? Where's the Cavalry?
Well, you're getting
it's like I've been seeing the call-ups that they've been bringing up. You're dropping Kovalenko, Ivan, and Chris Wagner after every game. They go down to Loveland, go down to the Waffle House, come back. And it's where's Foodie? Where's everybody else? What's going on?
Well, maybe they didn't do it right now just because it's the day off.
How much more hurt do the Avalanche need to be before we see the big poster names down for the Eagles start making their Colorado Avalanche debut?
Well, it'd be interesting to see because they're playing you're not going to call guys up right now because it's a cap thing. Like, you have to, save as much money as possible day to day. So they wouldn't call those guys up right now, and you don't play until Tuesday. So you would call them up Tuesday morning, basically, to they call them like paper transactions and stuff like that. So, but yeah, you kind of want to know who it's going to be. They're not going to tell you that until Tuesday, but you'll probably get, I don't know. You have Colton's out, Drouin's out, Wood is out. There's your 3 forwards. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see if they do call it, but I think it's going to be your usual suspects. It's not going to be anybody, but I don't think they really need. I'm trying to think here off the top of my head who's the one. They were without those guys anyway. They were without Colton, Drouin, and Wood in the last game.
How'd that go? How'd that go?
Yeah. I know. That game was you're playing a back-to-back. I hate using that as the excuse.
So did Edmonton.
Well, Edmonton did, but Edmonton had a nice break before the back-to-back. So it was I think they had like 4 days off before the back-to-back.
I go to work 5 days a week.
Not the same, but
back to back.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's a fluky time for the Avalanche right now. You're back fighting this injury bug, and we'll see what they can do over this next month. Let's talk about that month. Let's bring up we do this at the beginning of every month. We look at the month ahead and the schedule. And like every other month, it's interesting. So let's get our last break in here, and we'll finish up the episode talking about the December schedule. Let's hear from Prize Picks. It's the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you got to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up 100 times your cash. And you can run your game all season long with Prize Picks. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup card isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Kyle, who doesn't love a good Taco Tuesday?
It's not me. I will celebrate every day of the week if I could.
Well, why does it just have to be Tuesday? What's this alliteration stuff? Taco Friday is just as good. So download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That code is LOCKEDONNHL, and you get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup over at Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, let's talk about the December schedule. We talked about the November one and how that was a gauntlet, and it was going well for the Avalanche, and it was like opposite. Like, it came in like nice, and you were playing okay, and it just went out with a struggle. So let's take a look at the December schedule, and if you're watching over on YouTube, we'll share it with you there. Can we get ourselves out of the? We'll leave it like that. That looks okay. So What's the one thing that jumps out to you, Kyle?
That's a lot. That's a lot on the road.
That's a lot of white.
A lot on the road.
The red is your home games and the white is your road games. You have a grand total of 4 home games the entire month of December. So you are starting the month out Tuesday on a 5-game road trip. And I almost was like, that's okay. I kind of feel like we've talked about it. The Avalanche kind of, when they're struggling and they're about to hit the road, they kind of right the ship a lot of times. They just did it this year.
Yep.
With the exception of that last game in Tampa, but they won the first 3 of them. So, sometimes the road is where you get away from the noise of being at home, and sometimes it works out for you. So your first 5 games this month, all on the road. They are Buffalo, Carolina, Detroit, New Jersey, and Pittsburgh. And there is a back-to-back there on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, Detroit and New Jersey. That's a back-to-back, which is one of 2 back-to-backs. Yeah, the other one is right there. We'll get to that in a second. And then when you come home, you have a 2-game homestand against Utah and then Nashville. And then you're on the road again for 3 games. Vancouver, San Jose, and a back-to-back with San Jose and Anaheim. And then you're home for 1 game right before the Christmas break against Seattle. Then you have your Christmas break, and then you're on the road against Utah, a few days off, and your last game of the calendar year 2024 is at home. Big game against Winnipeg. So, a couple back-to-backs in there. I think you play only 4 division games. Winnipeg, Utah twice, and Nashville are your 4 division games. So, thoughts?
It's not as daunting as previous months, but it's still going to be a challenge because you're not really rewarded at any point through this month. Like the road trip, you're going to build some momentum against Buffalo, possibly Carolina, Detroit, probably, and then buzzsaw, New Jersey Devils. Then you get Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's always a weird, wacky, ugly game. Then you get the Utah Hockey Club, the Avalanche Killers.
Yeah.
Then you get Nashville at home. We could see Juice.
Oh, imagine that.
Then it's his homecoming. Then you get the Vancouver Canucks. Not a peep about this team all year long.
They're in a playoff spot.
But they are one of the biggest mysteries when it comes to roster construction, who's in, who's out, and why. Then you get a nice, beautiful back-to-back in Cali. That one you're looking forward to because it's not much of a travel, not much of an opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And then you finish out the year with a lot of resting time.
Yeah.
You get Seattle, the Avalanche Killers in Utah again. Then you end the year, honestly, with this might be the biggest game of the year for the Colorado Avalanche, December 31st, Winnipeg Jets in Ball Arena. Could set the tone for 2025 for sure.
You're right. It could be. Like at that point in time, you got a whole month of games to play, and where are the Avs sitting at the end of the month? That's 3 months into the season now. When they play that game, New Year's Eve against Winnipeg. And where is Winnipeg after another month? You know what I mean? Like where are they sitting? That I think you're right. That game could have a lot of implications for how the rest of the one of those 4-point games, and it could be huge. Could be huge if the Avalanche can get this month right, and then finish off the calendar year 2024 against Winnipeg with a solid win. That just sets you up going into January and February, because honestly, like that's really where the Avalanche kind of when the past couple of years when they've gone through struggles. There was a December that they ended the month. I think they lost. It was like 7 straight or something like that, or maybe they were like 1-7 over 8. It was a horrible end to December, and then in January they just completely flipped the script. So I'm wanting to get through this month I'm not saying like that's just automatically going to happen, but you know, you want to end this month on a good trajectory, and what better way to do that than you know, beating Winnipeg, who is just, you know, they continue to be on a roll. They haven't fallen back too much. Let me see. Yeah, well, they have lost 3 in a row as we're recording this. So is now the time for Winnipeg to, you know, people starting to catch up to them? We'll see by the end of the month. That could be a very big game.
And it's one thing for the Avalanche to get back on track and sharpen their teeth against the rest of the NHL, but you only have really maybe 4 matchups that have anything to do with the Central Division.
That's it.
Like
4. Yep.
Yeah, and like it's one thing to go on these road trips and put some games together, but you're really not making up much ground. Like these, you got your Utah twice, you got Nashville, and then you finish the year against Winnipeg. Like those are big games. Those are really big games. And one of those Central Division matchups was on the road. You're getting 3 of those Central games at home. Like that really plays for whatever momentum you're building, you put it to the test. Against the Central can really make up some ground. So this is the time. December is crucially, vitally important to the Avalanche and what this season's going to look like, because where you put yourself in the first 2 months is not ideal. This is how you work your way out. And if not, it's going to be a just miserable pace through the rest of the year.
Yeah, I hope you got this will kind of dictate how you are as a road team.
Oh yeah,
for this month. And you're, you know, with that back-to-back right there on San Jose and Anaheim, like you feel good about matching up against both those teams. I just hate that it's a back-to-back. I'm going to hate that game against Anaheim. They played you pretty well the first time that you played them this year. You know, they have a goalie that's really just coming out of nowhere, and Dostal, who's playing very, very well. So I don't know. It's you know, it's an NHL schedule, for lack of a better term, but it's again, like how November was and how it will be telling for the Avs. This one will be too, because a lot of guys that we talked about, say for Kylington, might not be here for any of these games in this month.
Yeah, this would qualify as a month of the month to month.
Yeah, crazy. So, all right, that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. We'll be back tomorrow, talk about anything going on in Avalanche Nation, anything that breaks. We'll discuss it here and get everybody ready for the game on Tuesday. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And yeah, you just made it through another 24 hours. Sidney Crosby is that much closer to becoming a Colorado Avalanche.
He doesn't want to get injured.